Finally, Zechariah Tiemans, are you excited for Star Wars Episode 7? I am very excited. I'm not a Star Wars guy. I'm a Star Trek guy. Star Wars never really got into me in the way that Trek did. And you know what's funny? Really, it's funny. It's little things for me that show me great promise. Tiny, tiny, tiny little things. So I'll tell you what I saw on the Star Wars trailer that I liked. There's a couple scenes when they bring the TIE fighters in, and obviously the Falcon comes back, so automatically you're there. But if you look at the scenes that are on the last version of the trailer, the TIE fighters are fighting and they're going through looks like it's a hulk of an ancient starship or something. And the lasers are very small. When I say small, I mean they look powerful and very bright, but they're not huge glowing white, or red things. Like in the original thing, lasers were optical effects. They weren't computer effects. They were just literally done with exposing things, And so the beams on the starfighters, the beams on the X-wings, and the beams on the TIE fighters were pretty big and pretty glowing. If you look at the beams on the TIE fighters in the trailer, they're very tight. They look real. They look like they're actually really imparting energy, because the beams on the original Star Wars movie were done in 77, I guess, 76, 77, somewhere in there. And they just didn't have the technology. They basically just set up like a glowing line. It's like a glowing line that comes at you. And it's just glowing. It's just a sort of a plasma thing with nothing in it. You look at the lasers on the TIE fighters in the new trailer. I just blacked out the mic. Sorry about that. I probably saved everybody a burst eardrum. It's kinetic. Looks like it's throwing a lot of energy down there. And the reason I find that impressive is because it means somebody's thinking, somebody's put some thought into it. It looks real. It looks real. So yeah, I'm real excited as I can be for a guy who's not a huge Star Wars fan. But I think it's going to be terrific. And the scene with Han and Chewie, and it's obviously inside the Falcon. You can see there's a curved bulkhead. It's in the Falcon. When he says, Chewie, we're home, they're back in the Falcon. I'll make a prediction. I don't have any inside information, but just because I like putting pieces together. In the trailers, you see a series of derelict spaceships. There's a crashed X-Wing. There's a crashed Star Destroyer. There's something else that's been crashed. And I think that what that's going to get us is, it looks like it's Tatooine. It looks like it's Luke's original planet. I think what we're going to find out early is that there was a giant battle over Tatooine, and that this is backstory. After the real movies, after Return of the Jedi, but the backstory prior to the Episode 7 is that there was a gigantic battle with TIE fighters and X-wings and all this other stuff. Maybe it's the moon. I don't know. But anyway, there was a big space battle, and all of these vehicles have crashed. And they're Hulks. They're just space Hulks. You can see them in the trailer. I think what we're going to find out is that the Millennium Falcon is one of these Hulks. I think the story, I'm just guessing, I have absolutely nothing to believe, but I had to guess, I would say that what he's going to do with the Falcon backstory is that the Millennium Falcon has crashed on this planet and has probably been there for quite a while, maybe decades. Thought abandoned, thought it was lost, and they find the Falcon, and it's in tatters. It's not flyable. Not only not flyable, it's probably completely stone cold dead. It's essentially a Hulk. And I think Han and Chewie are going to find the Falcon, and they're going to refurbish the Falcon and get her back into flying condition. That's what I think is going to have happen. I think that's it. I think they're going to find the derelict Falcon, and the symbolism for me will be, if I'm right, because the Falcon looks pretty roughed up on the inside on that one glimpse you get in that one shot. But if I were telling the story anyway, what I would do is I would have the Falcon be a derelict and a wreck, and have it be covered with moss or in the desert or corrosion, because by restoring, we know the Falcon flies again because we've seen it. By restoring the Falcon to flight condition, you're making a very good visual metaphor for restoring the franchise to flight condition. In other words, if the Falcon is a Hulk, rusted out Hulk that's barely flyable, when you see it, it's like, yeah, here's where Star Wars was. It was completely run into the ground by this lunatic George Lucas. It's just appalling for those movies. Those 3 movies were just awful. Some of the worst films ever made. And so you've got this rusted wreckage of what was the greatest franchise in motion picture history. And by bringing Han and Chewie back into the movie and bringing the original cast back into the movie, by refurbishing the Falcon, you're refurbishing the franchise. That's my piece of cinematic wisdom, and I'm sticking to it. You heard it here, folks. If it turns out that's the case, you heard it here first, because I'd never heard that before. But if I had to bet, that's what I would do. That's good storytelling one way or another. Hopefully it'll be either that or better. I don't think it'll be worse. Anyway, that's about it.